Hiya, folks. We're back. I'm Catherine. I'm host of the At a Total Loss podcast, and this is the breakdown of episode 3 with Sarah and Brody. Yes, Sarah also has a Brody. Wild, I know. So if you listen to the episode, you heard where we were like, it's not an incredibly popular name. Trust me, I went through like 4 of those 10,000 name books and was like, nope, like veto, And like Michael, my husband's mother's maiden name is Brogan, and Michael's middle name is Brogan, Brogan. We also love the name Bodhi, that means light, but someone we knew took it, and we were like, before we could have Brody. So we mixed the two, and that's where we got Brody from. And we were super excited. We didn't have really a middle name yet. And we talk about this in the episode. So we kind of like, when he was born and I was holding him, I just knew he had to have his dad's name. So that his name is Brody Michael. So what I'm doing in this episode, guys, is I'm breaking down the things that Sarah and I talked about. Sarah lives here in Atlanta, not too far from me. And we met very soon after Brody died. So long story short, Sarah is in a group called I'm not going to tell you, but it's like a Facebook group of women, moms. And I guess she had posted that she had had a stillbirth. And my best friend saw it and was jarred by it. And we're talking when she had it, which was, in 2019. So she posted on there and my friend remembered it. And then, so when she found out from my sister, so one of the first people that found out that Brody died was my sister. And she texted my best friend, Adrian, who literally lives 1 minute down the street, and was like, what the hell do I do? Adrian went to Sarah and was like, my best friend just lost her baby. What do I do? So Sarah just rapid fired like all the things she needs that I needed to do in the hospital. Truly quite wonderful, because I didn't know what to do. They were like, take pictures. And I was like, no. And then like, she just gave a lot of good advice. And then I connected with Sarah after, and I think it was probably like really soon after, and like a couple weeks later, I texted her and I was like, I'm ready to talk. And Sarah's demeanor was very hopeful and full of light and bubbly and happy. And to me at the time, being so dark and so griefy and so in a hole, I just wanted to know when I would feel like her, when I would get there. And Sarah kind of talked me through each day. Basically, not really just saying it, but showing me that there's light at the end of this tunnel. Even if it's a little bit, it's there. And that was really helpful for me. You can choose however you want to grieve, but it was really helpful for me to know that there was a light, that somebody ahead of me is like, you will survive this. You will be able to breathe again, and the pain will not be as excruciating. And I'm saying to you, 8 months out, that is true. Because I never thought in a million years I'd be sitting here doing this after he died. A lot of work, but it's a choice. And it's a choice that I made to try to get to a certain point in my life that I can honor him without being a shell of a human being. And also, on that note, she taught me that it is okay to enjoy your life. She's like, let's go get Margs. And I was like, but we're grieving. And she was like, so it's okay to enjoy your life. It's okay to be happy. I felt so guilty in the beginning. So guilty. I know you probably did too. Like, oh, I shouldn't be laughing. Like the first piece of food, I was like, I'm not allowed to be eating. This is not okay. So I stopped. First glass of wine, I had been looking forward to it forever. I'm a wine guy, and like I just wanted it. And like having it was like, I shouldn't be having this. Smiling, laughing, enjoying my life didn't feel right. But she showed me that you have to. You have to. A, you have to survive. B, she wasn't going to judge me for wanting to be happy or to have fun. So we met for margaritas. 3 of us did. 4 of us. It was fun. And we were allowed to do that. So her perspective is great. Again, we're all different, but this was hers. She talks about, I have notes, old school style. She expect like an iPad with no, that's not how I roll. She knew the sex beforehand. I did not. For some reason, I think Michael was a big proponent of this. He wanted to be surprised. Now that seems that's not going to happen next time, but we had a boy name picked out and a girl name picked out. We still have that girl name. Can't tell you. See, there's still some things that we just do that are dumb, whatever. So when he was born, we were like, what is it? And they were like, we don't know. We didn't look. And we were like, what do you mean you didn't look? And then they were like, the midwife was like, are you sure you want to know? And I was like, what? Yeah. So if any of you had a stillbirth, like almost full term or full term, I was practically full term. Did you not find out the gender? Like, tell me, comment below. By the way, comment. I want to know, like, if you guys have experienced anything. Like, part of this is just to like let you guys know you're not alone. And we talk about a lot of things throughout this podcast. And if you are a spiritual person, if your relationship with God is really strong or it's not strong anymore, check out Mariah's episode. Really, really great stuff. So that's the direction that she went. And I really like that perspective. So, but just also owning which direction you want to go in. So like, if you guys don't agree with me, totally fine. Totally fine. You do whatever you want to do. This is my perspective and the conversations that I've had as well, trying to, put it out there, have a conversation about it. We're in this together. Anyway, so about the name, mourning the name is a thing. It is. You know how I kind of solidified the name? I was at my nephew's soccer practice. No, it was football, flag football. He was like 5. And all the little kids were running into the game and the moms were screaming their names. And I remember thinking, I want to yell Brody. I want to yell Brody for my son. That's his name. And I looked at my husband and I said it. And we just, he also loved the name. We decided. The fact that I will never get to yell his name on a field is devastating. If you feel that way, so do I. I'm mourning the loss of his name. I loved his name. I love his name so much. And partially why, I started this podcast is so I get to say it all the time. So mourning the name is a big thing. And don't feel weird about that. It's not weird. That's part of this. Yeah, you have an attachment to a name, especially if it's a family member or, a family name or something that means a lot to you. You can mourn it. I don't know. Tell me if you guys have ever used the name as a middle name for the next child, because I've been thinking about that potentially in the future. Let me know if that worked and how you felt about that. We're all different, so feel free to share it. Keep it clean, keep it nice. She was being monitored very closely. Sarah was. Sarah has another clotting disorder, and I'll put that at the bottom. So you guys can look it up and see what that is, but she says it in the previous podcast and the previous video on my channel, but she was monitored very closely. And this still happened. So what does that mean? Like, how many of you were really monitored closely? And then this still happened. Sometimes it's just so completely out of our hands. We have to throw our hands in the air and say, what could I have possibly done? She was monitored really closely. So I only have one child and he's in heaven, my Brody. So the next pregnancy, I've already discussed how closely I will be monitored. So for you guys, if you've only had one child and you're stillborn, make sure you find doctors who treat you like royalty and who monitor you extremely close. I talked to a lost mom the other day and she was like, oh, I'm just going back to my regular OB and they're just doing everything they used to do, if and when I get pregnant again. I was like, no, that's not going to work out. You're going to be find someone who's going to figure this out and help you through this, So she did the kick counts. Kick counts are a big deal, guys. I don't know if it's the end all be all. I'm still on the fence about this, but kick counts are huge. And I don't know if any of you were taught kick counts. I was not. My OB said not one thing about kick counts. You know how I found out? The What to Expect app. You remember that app? It just pops up and tells you that your baby's the size of an eggplant. I used to love that app. Guess where it is now? Trash. Never again. But kicks are important, but not just the kick count. Kicks that are characteristic to your baby. And that is absolutely true. If your baby stops kicking, that is a massive problem for a long period of time. Or even if they're weak, or even if it's just 10 and it should be 100, you need to say something and don't be embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed. What worse comes to worse, they're fine. Even better, even worse, they're not, but you're doing something. And a lot of doctors, like I even remember calling the doctor's office and they didn't tell me to go to the hospital. They told me to come in. Meanwhile, I'm like already feeling like a looming sense that he's gone. Not our fault though, guys. If you did not count kicks, that's okay. Because I know mothers, I've had conversations with mothers, their second, third, fourth baby who didn't notice any diminishing in movement at all. Didn't notice anything. And sometimes babies, you don't feel them. I talked to somebody who never felt kicks and was calling all the time. So don't blame yourself if you didn't do something because you didn't know. If your doctor didn't tell you, how could you know? Especially if it was your first pregnancy. How? And the only reason I stress it now is in case you still are unaware of it and maybe it can help the second one. Or if you have a friend who's pregnant, or some of you may have gestational carriers or surrogates, we're going to be talking about that in future episodes. So make sure you guys pay attention to the topics because that is coming up soon. I think it's important just to know about it, just to know what you're dealing with. That's all I'm asking for here, right? Is that so hard? Anyway, she talks about God a lot. And that's kind of why I'm segueing to Mariah's later, Mother of Wild. You need to listen to that one. She talks about God a lot. And at the time I interviewed her, I was probably 4 or 5 months out from loss, and I was still working on that. I was a very good follower of God, had a good relationship. When Brody died, it was extremely challenging for me to call on God. I didn't understand what was happening. It's taken a lot of work to get to a certain point. And make sure you watch the breakdown with Mariah, because I'm going to go into all of that. But Sarah held on to her faith. And she firmly believed right the minute things were happening that God was going to get her through it. So I'd love to hear what you guys thought. Did you think he was there with you? Did you say do you think he completely left you? Where are you at now? If you were really close with God and now you're not, or you weren't right after loss, that's normal. I mean, I met with the Monsignor. I'm a Catholic. I met with my Monsignor, which is the head of the church, the high priest, the highest priest in the church. He runs the joint. He basically said it was so normal. All these couples who are grieving or have losses, he said, yeah, it's normal. I have a Christian counselor. She said, normal. So don't feel bad. And it's up to you if you want to make your way back. Completely up to you. No one's going to force that on you. It's your decision on your relationship with God. But Sarah said, how could she not get something that someone else got? Really kind of feeling that pain of why me? And, she really just did cling to her faith. And it's something really beautiful. I want you guys to hear her words exactly. So if you didn't listen to that, make sure that you do. And if you have any questions for Sarah, drop them here and mention that you want that for Sarah, and I'll have her answer those for you. So she says that when things started to go south, she was oddly calm. That's a thing. I don't know why, but when I finally started to put together that something was wrong, I was very calm. And Sarah says, and if you listen to the story about almost burning down the house, she's not a calm person in situations where there's an emergency. So if you were stoic or very chill, that is totally normal. That is normal. It's weird. It's almost like some intuition, some peace. Just now, when they told me he was dead, flip out. So horrific of a flip out. And if you didn't watch my breakdown, the breakdown before this one on episode 2, it was so horrific of a flip out when they told me that I used therapy, rapid eye motion therapy, to help me with that. And then I became calm again, like a shock. So if you were in a sense of state of calm leading up to finding out, you're not alone. That's a thing. I don't know if it's a gift from the universe or from God. I don't know if it's an innate motherly thing that just knows. And I'd love to hear if you guys have researched this. I'm going to have some people on here that talk about these intuitions and things like that. But if you know what that is, feel free to drop it in the comments. Oh gosh, thinking of getting pregnant again immediately. I think I posted this on Instagram a little while ago. It was like weird things that lost moms do that are actually normal. Yes, we ask if we can get pregnant almost immediately. And that's totally normal. Like in the ICU bed, I was like, when can I try again? And the doctor was like, what? 3 months. I don't know if it's because we don't have a baby and we desperately want one. That's most likely it. Again, our brains don't know that they're gone, but our bodies don't know that they're gone, but our brain does. So it's almost like, what do we do with this? We just want a baby. And then you get out of that, though. I will say, once I got home, the longing for a baby was there. I mean, the milk was coming in. I physically was reacting to the sounds of cries on TV or other babies. I couldn't be around them. That kind of subsided. And so around the time that I was able to try again, I didn't want another baby. I wanted Brody. And that was like a really weird point in time. I didn't know how to have another baby when all I wanted was Brody. And I mean, I was adamant. Don't want any more kids. I just want Brody. I'll never be able to have another child again if it's not him. So if you felt that way, that's a thing too. This is waves, you guys. Roller coaster. Freaking it's a disaster, but you're not alone. These are the feelings that I've had. These are the feelings of other lost mothers. The photos are still a thing. There are some regrets from the hospital bed where there at our hospital at Northside, there's something called Heartstrings. They're a bereavement support for the parents when their baby dies. And they came in and they were like, can we take pictures? And I was like, what? And thank God someone was like, yes, absolutely. So they took a bunch of pictures. I took one and then I was like, this is weird. I don't think I can take any more. And so then like, I think my mom and my sister were in the room when he was born. And I think they took some pictures. I don't think anybody took a video. I think my mom did of his baptism. Like, if you guys don't have pictures, that's so normal. Like, I literally just talked to another lost mom. I've talked to a million, but I've talked to one just now. And she was like, I have no pictures because I thought it was so weird. So I only have what the hospital took. And these hospital photos are not great. So again, I keep referencing Mariah, Mother of Wild. And I'll link it. She does prints, beautiful prints of your babies. And I think that that'll be really helpful if you are looking for some pictures. And it's okay to touch up your photos, guys. It's okay. Don't feel bad. My poor little baby, his eyelids, and it's okay to touch them up a little bit. It really is. And it's okay if you don't want to look. It's okay if you're not ready to look. And there's certain ones that I can't even look at, and that's okay. If you didn't bathe them, that's okay. If you didn't change their diaper, that's okay. If you didn't swaddle, That's okay. If you didn't even hold them, that's okay. And I know you have regrets, but so many of you, we had to make decisions so quickly and we didn't know. You can't beat yourself up over that. Try to take the image and create it yourself if you need to, because all we have now is memories. To be quite honest, it was tough. His little face, I wanted to study it and memorize it and stare at it, but at the same time, it was hard to look at. He was gone. So if you feel that way, you ain't alone. It's rough stuff, guys. So don't feel bad. We were all in that situation where we had no idea what to do. And if you have the photos, awesome. If you have professional photos, awesome. I truly wish that there was a universal thing where there was a professional photographer who could come. I didn't even think to do that. Just have one on call maybe to come take professional photos. If you are a professional photographer and you're a stillbirth mother, lost mom, think about that. That would be a wonderful, wonderful thing if you could partner with the hospitals or even parents who can call you last minute. The truth is like, how would we even know you existed unless we're going through this? So, partnering with the hospitals is probably a great idea. Cuddle cot, the cuddle cot thing. There's like a big conversation about this right now. It's almost like a cryo, like temperature controls the baby so they can stay with you for longer periods of time and doesn't have to go to the morgue. My baby had to go to the morgue because I went to the ICU. By the time I got him back, he was a little block of ice and it was horrendous. It was absolutely horrendous. And I say this so casually because lots of work and therapy. That happened to you? Same. But there's a discrepancy. I spoke to my hospital and I'm probably going to mess up the names and I'm going to hope to put that in the link down and put it in the description because I'm going to mess up the name and I want you to know the difference. So one of them is like a cryo crib. And my hospital here has told me that they tested it on some families. How that conversation went, I have no idea. But they tested on some families and the families didn't like it because it had tubes that were going into the baby and it looked very much like the incubator or the tube situation, life support situation that the baby was on or could have been on. They didn't like it. So they got rid of them. Now there's another one that looks like a cradle, I think, and it is more like cushy. It's like the regular hospital one, but it's prettier, like a little softer, a little bit more angelic. And I think that's what they're going with. Cost of that, I don't know. I'm going to have to link this and figure out the difference, but I'll put that down for you guys on the difference between the two of them. Basically, I think it's just a branded name for each one of them, but that's kind of like what they do, how they operate, the architecture of each one of them. We also talked about the Shine for Autumn Act. This is awesome. Debbie is phenomenal. She lost her baby Autumn 7 years ago, and since then has been championing for change like crazy. You guys, we sat with the senator's office here in Atlanta. A bunch of us lost parents telling our story. The look on the girl's face was like, oh my God, this happened. The lack of testing, the lack of information, the lack of education, the lack of care, the lack of all things needed. I mean, we don't even have third trimester ultrasounds, guys. I know so many women whose babies could have been saved with a third trimester ultrasound. Simple. Blood tests, measuring the placenta. I have a fantastic one with Amanda that you guys have got to check out coming up. It'll be out in October if it's not already up by the time you see this. Guys, measuring the placenta, estimated placenta volume is so key. Brody had a small placenta and could have saved him if we did that. So bottom line is prenatal care has to change in this country. So she has created a bill that's going to provide more education, more research, more help to getting healthcare workers to know what's going on, more testing, more stuff to just make sure this doesn't happen again. And it's also bringing it to light. people don't even know this is a thing. 23,000 families a year. That's ridiculous. 1 in 160. And honestly, I think that number is changing. I don't know where we're at as of now, right now, September 2022. We don't have any numbers for 2020. And I think since COVID, that's changed a lot. But this bill will help a lot. So if you don't already follow me. I'm consistently reposting the states that need help, but also follow Deb, and I'm going to link her account in the comments below, in the description below. So Sarah had to fight to get permission to give birth at 37 weeks. In the state of Georgia, I believe it's 39 before you can induce. I was told I was going to be induced at 38 because my blood pressure kept going up in my third trimester. And now I'm being told by my specialist that they will get my baby out at 37. So I don't know what it's like where you guys are and what kind of hoops you have to go through, but this is where we have to advocate for ourselves. This is where we say, we call the shots. Yes, there's legal stuff. Yes, there's medical protocol. Yes, there's doctors that are going to say no. Yeah. There's a lot of things. But we have to do our absolute best now to not settle if we know that something is wrong and we need action. Okay? Because almost 100% of the stories that I'm told, like the conversations with lost moms, was because we were told no. And then too much time went by. So I think it's really important that we understand what is right, what our rights are. So look them up. They're probably according to your state, maybe even your county, what your rights are for inducing and how you can get things moving quicker if you need to. And if you didn't, I'm so sorry. You didn't know. Your doctor, you trusted your doctors, you trusted your medical workers. I don't know. We talk about the care of medical workers in Erica and Verity's episode. So if you want to hear about what happened and how her medical care failed her and what she did next, I need, go ahead and listen to that. So sometimes that's the case. And I'm so sorry if that happened. But we have to be our own advocates and we have to trust our guts. That's the thing. We just have to trust. And 9 times out of 10, I think we are absolutely dead on right with how we feel. But Sarah has a really great outlook on everything. She's been through a lot. She's been through a lot and she has remained hopeful. And her promise to you is that it will not always be this bad. And she's right. She's right. If you are fresh out of the gates, standing in hell, what I call the trenches, the first 3 months out, you're going to go, yeah, right. I'm never going to laugh again. I'm never going to smile again. You will. It won't be this bad. I went to Sarah and one day I'll never forget it. I was sitting in the driver's seat because I wasn't allowed to drive. I talk about this in a lot of the other episodes, but I had a pretty traumatic delivery, DIC, and lost 70% of my blood capacity and got blood transfusions and all this stuff. So I spent some time in the ICU, not to mention trauma, grief, everything. They wouldn't let me drive. And I was sitting in the passenger seat. And I remember just sitting there thinking like an elephant was sitting on my chest. I could not breathe. I could not take a deep breath in. And I texted Sarah and I said, all I want to know is when will this get better? She says 10 to 12 weeks. She gave me a literal timeline. That's a CPA for you. Numbers. Guys, she was not far off. It's wild. I don't know if it's science. And all of us are different, guys. All of us are different. She was right for me. Around 11 weeks, I was like, okay, I can function. I'm still in an incredible amount of pain, more so than you could describe. Y'all know, but I could function. And then slowly after that, what am I going to do with this grief? How am I going to get to know it better? How am I going to befriend it? God, that's so cheesy, but it's going to become your friend. It's not going anywhere. It's like your shadow. It's your shadow forever. I have a shadow. Look, there's my grief. Just kidding. Kind of. But it's going to be with us forever. And we just have to learn how to live with it. But it does ease up. It really, really does. And slowly but surely, I got my physical strength back, my mental strength back. And I talk about this in episode 10 with Bree. She's a she's a fitness instructor. She created a program for lost moms. Learning how to breathe again, learning how to get to know yourself again. Who are you now? Your body looks different. It feels different. I had the line down my belly for months. Getting to know yourself after. And it takes time. It really does. And I speak to women who are 15 years out and they are still learning what that looks like. But I will tell you that if you strive to see the light, if you try to see the light, one day there'll be more light than dark. And that's so true. It really is. So, guys, that's a wrap on Sarah's episode. She'll be back for another 2 coming up probably soon, but I mentioned a bunch of other podcasts. I want you guys to check those out. The descriptions are there about what we talk about in those. Breakdowns are there as well. Make sure you subscribe so that you get alerted when I come on with a new one. I don't want you guys to miss it. I know that I felt super alone when this all first happened to me, and Lost Mom saved me. So I hope this is helpful. This is just my opinion. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I am a lost mom who's trying to navigate this as best as I can. And how she does it is she has conversations with other lost moms. That's it. So I hope that this is helpful for you guys. Comment, say hi. Make sure you keep it nice, guys. This is a safe space. If you're not nice, you out of here. Follow me on Instagram as well. And I'm going to link all the fun stuff underneath. Like and share. I'm so sorry that you're here, but I'm happy that we've connected. Take care, lost moms.